appreciate, first of all, before we get into this, I appreciate you reaching out and asking these questions that could very well be detrimental to the farm and all your hard work and everything outside of something you did out of your control takes place, and so that really goes a long way with me. It shows that folks are whitetail driven, as I say, and really want to go the extra mile to focus on the health of that herd first and foremost, hunting aside. So I appreciate everybody's thought process on that. That means a lot for all of us involved, just not for me as a business, but all of our hunters, conservationists, everybody together. The question is the EHD that has arose in Michigan. It's not a secret. Over the last couple of weeks, there's been some cases that have popped up, and that is what brings this video today. I've got, sadly, I wish I could say that I have never experienced it, but I have through my clients, through the Midwest, through the lodges, and EHD, blue tongue out west, TB when it went through Wisconsin. I've like I said, sadly, CWD in Michigan. Sadly, I've experienced all of that, or been involved with all that through clients and my own personal experiences. And I can tell you that EHD is nothing to screw with. And what sucks about EHD is, a deal that pops up, and it seems like it's always this time of the year going into the season, and all of a sudden your season, it shows up about September, and this time of the year your season is broken real quick with it. So what what my clients are asking is, what should we do? We went through this design, and we made and put this, started implementing this design into effect, and we've got some water sources that are already on the property that we left, outside of our water tanks, our water holes. So what do we do? So that's kind of an open-ended question, but I'm going to give you kind of a direct answer, so it kind of takes in everybody's side here. What we're looking at is, with EHD, it is the midge that lives in the bug, the midge that lives in the mud around those, in that cracked mud around those ponds, those natural water, rain-filled, spring-filled ponds. That is what where they live. That's what they promote. That's where the deer get it. So with that said, a lot of the designs that we do, myself, a lot of people across the country are doing, whether you have it designed by someone or not, a lot of what's being done is the implementation of water tanks. Now, so first and foremost, I will touch on something real quick here. If you're in a state such as Illinois, I have no, I don't know what the word is, but I have a big problem, I guess, with the state of Illinois looking at a water tank as an attractant. But also, each and every year, the Midwest is ridden with EHD. Not every year, but it seems like it's a 2 or 3 year cycle. And the quickest way to cure it is to promote water tanks, not ponds. And it's so that's kind of a sore spot with me. State of Illinois, reason of being is it's such a powerhouse in our whitetail world that a lot of people learn from, and a lot of people get experience going down there and hunting, and then they're promoting bad health standards to the deer, and that to me kind of shakes me up a little bit. Plus my connection with Illinois, as all of you know. But so the question is, what do we do? The answer is, I would recommend taking this into consideration. We need to study, we need to look at what your water source outside of your water tanks are. If it is that pond, well, just because it's a pond doesn't mean that the EHD or that midge lives within that pond or near that pond. Kentucky. I've got a beautiful pond up top. It's not very big, but it's right in the center of the property, which it's off my transition, and it's got the dried mud effect around it. And I tell you, it's worried me since I've got there. I've looked at it. So if I've always thought I needed to probably do something with it. So I'm going to elect, and we don't have the issue. Knock on wood, shouldn't even say that, but we don't have it down here. But if it ever hits, you got to look at that. Is it a viable source that's may play into that? So what I would recommend is doing a good survey of that water hole, that native water hole. If you've got good vegetation around it, and you've got good, whether you've made it before and you put some clover and you got some rye growing around it and that bank's solid in there. The problem with it is you have to look below the ground, the water level. You have to know the water level. You have to know how that pond reacts over the course of the fall, and if it is reacting in the past, if it has reacted with a little, it starts drying or starts lowering down, and you get that band of exposed. It might have a bunch of forage around it right now, or a bunch of grass sediment that's holding it in. But if it goes down, is there going to be that band of that cracked and dried mud around it? Or there's some ponds out there that have good growth interior of the water, underneath the water line, and when it goes down, it's not such an exposed deal. Now I'm going to tell you right out front, most of the cases, what you're going to find is it's a issue. It could be an issue. Now, I'm not the one that's going to tell you to gamble on could be's. I'm going to be the one that's going to tell you to poke a hole in it and get rid of it. And one of the main reasons for that is if we left a water source after designing or being on your property, if I designed that and left that water source, it was probably because it related to the line of movement. Now, if it didn't, and we put tanks in to promote that line of travel, then that water source isn't doing you a bit of good, being internal to the farm, such as I've got now in Kentucky, and it's not doing you a bit of good with the risk of taking that possibility of maybe contracting that midge, getting a hold of them into the deer. So you've got to take into consideration what's ahead, and sometimes that's hard to pull the plug or poke a hole in those ponds. Now if we're talking acres, a big water source, then that's a little bit different. The more water that you have, the less chance that you've got of exposure sometimes, but it all goes for what that pond holds, what ground that it's in. Is it built right in clay? Is there good topsoil around it? Is it a recent build? If it's a recent build, then you stand a better chance because it's exposed soil. Until them grasses, like I said, take hold, and you've got that that good forage to stick that bank tight. There's a big chance that it could be an issue. So if you're in the state of Michigan watching this, or the surrounding areas, even if you're in the Midwest that maybe is out of that spectrum or that limelight of it right now, the water sources are an issue. So if you're in the state of Illinois, I highly recommend getting a hold of your legislator and pushing the example of what's going on right now, and it goes all over the country. The water tank is not bait. It isn't attractant, but it's a water source. It's a health standard for them, and for a state like that to put that herd at risk each and every year is like I said, it's a big sore spot for me. So investigate it. If you need some help and some advice, snap some pictures, send it to me. I'll be more than happy to take a minute in the evenings and kind of look at that, go over that with you, and see what my feelings are, because it's devastating, and sadly I think that depending on where it's at in the state, the farther north you go, maybe it won't be such an impact because of the weather. The only thing that Michigan's got working for you is the cold temperatures. And as soon as, you know, we get into those freezing temperatures, you know, it could halt it. The problem is most of the time the damage is already done by then. If you don't get anything else from this video, just take away from it that you need to do that initial survey and figure out what is on your property and how your property could react, and kind of look at that as it's not just your property, your deer. It's you know, your property, the whole community and the entire state could suffer if you don't, you know, put that best foot, that conservation foot forward. So thanks guys. If you need any help, feel free to reach out. Thanks.